Hello, my name is Yassin Mustanjidi. I'm an urban planning expert at UN Habitat's Urban Lab. Today, I will take you through a brief introduction on land value capture as an important mechanism to achieving sustainable neighborhoods and public benefit to cities and communities. Land value capture enables communities to recover and reinvest land value increases resulting from public investment and government actions. When associated to good governance and sustainable urban planning principles, land value capture can be an effective tool to help local governments advance green and thriving neighborhoods' environmental and inclusiveness outcomes. The Zoom presents strategies that contribute to SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and to SDG 13, climate action. Land value capture can allow the public sector to finance common goods such as affordable housing, inclusive public realm, green parks, social amenities, and local workforce upgrading, mitigating thus gentrification risks. Part of the value capture can also be used to preserve heritage and to invest in carbon neutrality targets. This Zoom comprises two parts. The first one explains land value capture positive feedback loop, while the second one provides a toolbox for land value capture. Land value capture is based on a core premise. Public action should generate public benefit. It offers an array of public finance instruments that enable communities to recover and reinvest land value increases resulting from public investment and government actions. As new subway lines, roads, and public works raise the value of nearby land and real estate, developers and property owners share that publicly generated value. This helps local governments pay for new transit, parks, affordable housing, and other neighborhood infrastructure upgrades. The ability to mobilize land value capture instruments depends on legal enabling authority, political will, fiscal frameworks, and the capacity of public officials. In practice, successful implementation demands management of many complex factors and diverse stakeholders, proper understanding of land market conditions, comprehensive property monitoring systems, fluid communication among fiscal, planning, and judicial entities, and political resolve. Land value capture shares value increases between governments, development agencies, developers, businesses, and residents. Increases due to population growth and economic development should be kept by the government on behalf of the public. Increases due to public investment in infrastructure and changes in land use regulations should be assigned to public service suppliers to cover public infrastructure costs. Increases due to landowners' investments, instead, should be captured by private landowners. Good planning creates value through the density, accessibility, and place quality dividends. Efficient and mixed land use with diverse building types creates value. Well-designed streets in neighborhoods connected by public transportation also add value. Squares, parklands, and waterfronts, heritage buildings can significantly heighten value. In the United States, for example, houses in transit-oriented development neighborhoods with high density and walkability scores are worth 3.48 times more than the average American home. Governments can explore development-based land value capture as an urban planning and public policy instrument to promote economic competitiveness, environmental sustainability, and social equity. By changing land use rules, such as allocating higher floor area ratio, or FARs, and converting land from single to mixed use, governments can heighten density for diverse uses while adding revenues. By using proceeds for investments in neighborhood projects, such as parks, street lights, bike lanes, and pedestrian sidewalks, governments, transit agencies, developers, and communities can jointly create efficient, attractive, and safe public places. By providing bonus FARs or other regulatory incentives, governments can require developers to add social facilities and affordable housing in exchange for the additional rights. The Section 106 agreement around King's Cross Central in London, for example, encompasses cash and in-kind contributions to the provision of local infrastructure, public space and community services by the joint developer for the Camden Council. This led to the creation of 24,000 to 27,000 local jobs, 1,900 homes, more than 40% of which will be affordable housing. Cash and in-kind contributions were used for the community, sports and leisure facilities, new green public spaces, plus new landscape squares and well-designed and accessible streets. Finally, cash contributions were used to improve adjacent streets, transit stops, and bus services. A positive feedback loop is started when land value increases are captured and reinvested in the same location. It comprises 4 components. First, value creation unlocks the potential value of underused assets because of a public sector intervention to stimulate demand from the private sector. The second step is to realize the value with the investment from the private sector. The third step is value capture. Arrangements can be done by the public sector for acquiring a proportion of private sector returns for local reinvestment. This can take the form of monetary or in-kind contributions from the private to public actors. Finally, local value can be recycled by the reinvestment from the private sector within the same development site or scheme. In developing cities where growth is experienced at a high rate, land-based infrastructure financing will bring the biggest payoff. Rapid growth drives swift increases in land prices and creates large revenue opportunities. Yet, it also magnifies infrastructure investment needs, requiring major sources of development finance. The public sector can participate in the appreciation of land values. Cities can make land parcels more reachable with public transport investments, prepare land for private sector development through land assembly, supply network infrastructure such as water networks and access to sewage, and provide public amenities such as public spaces, hospitals, and schools. Land development and capture in developing cities can explore options through densification, transit, and other investments in urban quality. Sao Paulo, for example, uses vertical development opportunities. The city takes advantage of privately owned land air rights. Besides, zoning codes and site design parameters must be flexible enough to meet changing market demands and diverse local needs. Furthermore, the assessment of land price should be agreed in advance by all parties according to market trends, and the distribution of profits should be negotiated based on the contribution of each stakeholder. Finally, clear, fair, and transparent rules should be established for sharing costs, benefits, and risks between stakeholders to ensure the long-term commitment of public agencies and private entities to deliver projects and maximize the benefits. On every continent, communities are already improving quality of life for their residents through land value capture instruments. These encompass betterment contributions, charges for building rights, inclusionary housing and zoning, linkage or impact fees, special assessments, transferable development rights, and even certain applications for the property tax. One set of land value capture instruments is based on leveraging of taxes or fees. These include property and land tax levied on estimated value of land or land and buildings combined, with revenues usually going into budgets for general purposes. Taxes can be applied also to increment financing. This means applying a surtax on properties within an area that will be redeveloped by public investment, financed by municipal bonds against the expected increase in property taxes. Finally, betterment charges and special assessments in the form of surtaxes are imposed by governments on estimated benefits created by public endowments, requiring property owners who benefit directly from public investments to pay for their costs. Unlike taxes and fees, development-based instruments capture land value increases by selling or leasing land, development rights, and air rights. Governments, transit agencies, developers, and landowners jointly increase land values and share increments. In places where the property tax system is inadequate, development-based instruments have a much better chance of working well from an administrative point of view. We will now detail some of these instruments. In land sales or lease, governments sell developers land or its development rights whose values have increased thanks to public investment or regulatory change. An example is Vauban, Freiburg, Germany, a 41-hectare sustainable neighborhood where all houses are built to a low energy consumption standard. The city handled the sale of plots to interested investors and undertook the construction of the infrastructure through the gain made from these sales. In air rights sales, local governments sell development rights extended beyond the limits of specified inland use rules or created by regulatory changes to raise funds to finance public infrastructure and services. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, for instance, the basic free FAR is limited to 1.0 to 2.0 over the city. Certificate of Additional Construction Potential Bonds, or what they call CEPACs, are issued by the Sao Paulo City Hall and are sold in the Sao Paulo Stock Market Exchange. This gives the bearer additional building rights and the ability to change uses of the plot. The CEPACs are the economic compensation a developer gives the public administration in return for additional building rights. Flexible zoning, as shown here in Hudson Yards, New York, can be a tool for financing affordable housing. In inclusionary zoning, developers provide the municipality with a certain amount of low or moderate income housing. They can obtain in exchange the right to construct market rate residential or commercial properties. In Hudson Yards, developers can receive a zoning bonus exceeding the base maximum FAR, or as of right, established in the zoning resolution by making a district improvement bonus payment to the Hudson Yard District's Improvement Fund. This can be done through transfer of development rights or through provision of inclusionary housing. The inclusionary housing bonus allows 10 to 15% of the development to be affordable to low, moderate, or middle-income families. Land readjustment is a development-based tool where landowners collectively cooperate with a municipality or developer to pool their land to accomplish a redevelopment project. The investments in infrastructure and services undertaken on the pooled land increase the value of the properties in the redeveloped area. Afterwards, each landowner receives a smaller parcel of land that has greater value due to the improvements made. In Japan, for instance, land readjustment has been used for 1/3 of all urban areas. It has been used for half of all main residential parks, 1/4 of streets designed in city plans, and 1/3 of station plazas at major train stations. Finally, in the Rail plus Property Co-Development model, referred to as R+P, the government transfers land development rights to a transit authority at the before transit development price. The authority then partners with private developers to develop properties near the new transit route, shares the profit, and use the funds to reinvest in the rail system and other public improvements. The Hong Kong Mass Transit Railway Corporation, for example, has used the R+P model for 3 decades. The R+P model creates an integrated community providing housing, shopping, office and leisure facilities under one roof with easy access to public transport. It requires no direct government financing. Instead, the government receives significant land and enhancement equity value through a majority shareholding in the MTR Corporation. The MTR Corporation is now replicating this successful model in major urban cities in mainland China. In the R+P model, the Hong Kong government gave exclusive property development rights of government-owned land at a before rail market price. Then, the MTR captured the land value increase created by R+P and sold the completed development at after rail market price. Master plans support the MTR as a backbone of urban development. A public leasehold system controls land supply. A comprehensive development area zoning sets special FARs around key stations. Private developers bear project risks for higher financial returns. Clear rules are established for sharing costs and profits among stakeholders. To conclude, all stakeholders must share a clear vision and take collective action. Development agencies should acquire expertise in real estate investment, urban planning and marketing to define the appropriate parameters, analyze market profiles, offer multiple services, and maximize value increases in their development programs. To increase high-quality built environment, substantial density bonuses is an effective instrument. It encourages private developers to supply infrastructure and social services, maximizes synergies, and mitigates gentrification impacts through affordable housing, job upgrading, and inclusive urban development.